Hi, welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. In this week's video, we are going to work on the inside of the door and the top part of the door here. The camera lady is going to come in the window here in a second or so. On the previous episodes, we actually did the door skins. We made the doors fit and the holes properly. So now we're going to turn to the inside of the car and start working on some of the other structure. On the inside of the coupe, there is a lot of wood structure here. So on the top of the doors, basically this piece here is a structural member, and the top of the roof is pinned to it. And then there's also, this is not so much well, it's a little bit of a structural piece, but it's more for attaching the garnish moldings and stuff too. I've been working for the past couple hours actually taking these two pieces off. This wood here is nailed through the here all the way around. There's screws here, here, there, there, and then there's screws that go through the top of this. So, and then also two screws here. So what I've done, I've got everything loose because I want to show you what I've got to work on. So I'll take this off. So there's the top piece. So this piece of wood either has to be significantly repaired or replaced because there's a lot of dry rot right here, as you can see. It's a really good template that I can make something off of. And then this piece had to come out as a result. There. There's a little dry rot on this too. I might be able to stop it, but I may actually have to make a bottom piece as well at some point. So both of those pieces are off. I'm not sure if the camera lady can show you or not, but right up here, the inner part and this lip is gone and you could see through. So there needs to be some reconstruction here on the top part of the metal. Also, where the coupe body met up with the sedan body, unfortunately there's a gap here, so I actually have to fill that gap in, and I think actually I have to detach this piece ever so slightly and move it up like a 1/16 of an inch to get a better clearance around the door. Over here on the bench, I'll show you what has to be replaced on the top part. So over here on the bench, these are pieces off of a sedan. I got a bit of a trap here for the camera lady. So right here, this would be the equivalent piece that kind of goes over the top. And if I rotate that up, this nailing strip here is missing on most of the top of the coupe. So I either have to cut this piece out and weld it in there, or make a piece like this and weld it in there, but that repair has to be made to it. So with all those things being said, I'm going to work on some of them throughout this video. We'll get it as far as we can. There's going to be most likely a multiple episode of working on the wood and across the top of the doors. So hang in there and watch and see how far we can go in this episode. Here we are a day later, actually 2 days later, I think. What I've done, I've managed to weld up here where the coupe body met up with the sedan cowl. A few things that went on here. I had to actually detach it and push it out because the gap around the window, around the door here wasn't very good. I think there was some damage to this cowl at one point in time. There was a lot of lead here, so I had to basically grind the lead out. Right now I've got it's a tight gap, but it's actually a good gap. It's like 3/32 to 1/8 of an inch around here. I'm quite happy with it now. I've got this welded up almost to my satisfaction now. Everything's all tight. I might do a little bit more dolly work there, but it's really good. The other thing with this door, the original latch mechanism was seized, and there's some, I could not get it unseized. It's rusted up really bad. So I've taken it out. Over on the bench, I have another one that the owner brought over. So anyway, here's the door. Actually, it fits, opens and shuts pretty good. It's a little loose across the top now because I've taken the wood out. Next, I think I'm going to go work and make a couple pieces of wood. So I'll show you how I make those patterns in the shop. Over on the bench, I will show you the other latch. So this is the other latch that the owner brought over to me. It was seized up too a little bit, just rusted, but it's just a matter of sticking it in the vise, putting some WD-40 onto it and working it through. Another thing a friend of mine told me to use sometimes is like actually if you mix up transmission fluid and acetone, it actually works better as a penetrating fluid. Probably going to give that a try as well. But everything now, everything's all moving now, so I'm going to put that back in the door and make sure that, like on the bench with the handles, it works, but I got to put it back in the door to make sure it works too. So I'll keep on working on this. And like I said, we're going to go in the shop next and try and make that piece above the door. Welcome to the Coldstream Rod Shop. Furniture shop, I guess, if you want to call it that. This used to be where I used to make a lot of furniture at one point in time, quite a while ago. But I still have the capability and the ability to make wood patterns, make what we need to make. So on the top of the 32 Ford 5-window coupe, this is the wood that was above the passenger car door. It was relatively intact, but there was a significant amount of dry rot around this edge. And the metal on the coupe actually nails into this edge. So had a couple choices. One thing I could have done was actually planed this edge off until I got down to the sound wood and all the dry wood was gone. Then I could laminate a piece of wood on. What I chose to do, because I have to make some of these up for the New York coupe as well, like from basically scratch, was I chose to take this and use it as a pattern. To do that, I basically laminated up 3 pieces of 1-inch oak. Sorry, 4. Camera lady pointed out there's 4. Sorry about that. 4 pieces of 1-inch oak. Use some waterproof wood glue. Make sure if you're going to do it, because although the car doesn't get water into it, it sees a lot of moisture. So you've got to use some waterproof glue. I use the Gorilla indoor-outdoor wood glue for this stuff. There's a bunch of different ones that you could use. So laminated it up, planed it up, rough cut it out. Then there's a whole bunch of different cuts on here. The piece is actually not completely straight. It's straight up until this point, and then it tapers off on a slight angle of, I think it's 1 or 2 degrees. So essentially I'd have to plane it to a certain point, use the bandsaw to taper it in, and then use either my small planes or the chisels to get that shape. Then there's a recess here where a bolt comes through and holds into the roof wood. So that is basically chiseled out. And when you're working with hardwoods, you've got to use really, really sharp tools. If it's not super sharp and can shave your arm, you're not going to be able to cut this out in hardwood. So this was chiseled out with a chisel. Same thing here. I chiseled this out, and then this basically is cut here with a small back saw, or I use like a Japanese Dozuki saw for cutting wood dovetails and stuff. It's really good for doing fine cuts. On top of that, then there's also a recess here where it fits into the top of the 32 5-window coupe, right into the right on the top of the front windshield post. I'll show you when I put these in, but that's quite a few steps in there, and of course drilling the holes in the right places. There is another piece that goes on the bottom of this door that I discovered. Because the cars were in relatively bad shape, there was bits and pieces laying around, but there's another piece that fits on the bottom, and there's a piece of sheet metal that comes up underneath the top of the door. So I'm going to have to make this piece as well. So I'm going to make that up. I'll show you how I made that as well. And then I will have to make basically 2 passenger sides and 2 driver sides and fit them in place. So watch along. That's what we're going to be working on this week. I've been working most of the week on the wood or the header wood above the doors. A lot of success, but it put a tremendous amount of time into making these. So kind of looks so in this video, we're going to finish it up basically with the wood above the doors before we get to the metal. I've got the pieces made up. Quite happy with them. The first one fit well. I copied the other ones. They're ready to do the fit. One thing I realized though, there's a second piece of wood that goes underneath the metal trim. This metal trim goes up underneath the door. what I didn't realize or didn't remember was that there's a second piece of wood that actually fits inside there, and then that fits underneath the wood. So this is the way it would kind of look like that in the car. So the door would fit in here. A little more challenging to do. It doesn't look as though it was glued onto the original piece, because the pieces that came off, there's no appearance of any glue on the surfaces there, so I assume that it's a separate piece. These came off the Moncton Coupe. Like I said, there's no evidence of it being nailed in place. Looks like it's nailed from the side and then screwed through here. So what I've been doing, I've been working on those pieces. So I've got them made. It's a somewhat complex piece. Got to use all of my Lee Valley planes that I've used from my shop. The shoulder plane has had quite a workout doing some of the grooves. One thing too, in addition to this piece going in, there's actually a groove that fits down here so that the metal will fit into it. So what I'm going to do, I have these two pieces made for the passenger side, sorry. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to make those two pieces for the driver's side. Then I'm going to go out and I will fit one of each of these in the Moncton Coupe and finish the video off. Back out in the garage now, I have this side of the roof now welded. Both sides are welded now, so we have this sedan finally and permanently welded to the back half of the 5-window coupe. I've got some nice welds there. It's nice and smooth. There's going to be very little body filler. It would have to go on that to clean it up. A little bit more grinding of around the bead up the top here. I'll get to finish off. Then on the inside, the oak pieces above the doors that I was working on, I have both of them basically dry fitted inside. My holes all line up. I'm quite happy with that. And then like you saw in the time lapse and down in the shop, I have this piece that I discovered afterwards actually goes underneath here. What I've concluded is I'm going to have to glue this to this piece in order to fit it in there. So I'm going to carry on with that. There's another groove actually that goes along here that I found out about too. So almost there. A lot of work went into these oak pieces, like better part of 12 hours or more, I think, in the shop. We're almost there. We'll finish it up on the next video. Like anything, a project, you can never predict where it's going to go or how long it's going to take sometimes. So that's it for this week. Everybody take care. Please like, share, tag, and subscribe, and send any comments you might have to me. Take care, everybody.